Hi there, friends. 6 a.m. on this Monday morning. Thanks so much for joining us on Up with KREM. I'm Channing Curtis.
And I'm Tim Pham. Happy Monday to you, friends. Hope you had a great weekend. We're starting things off with a look at your weather forecast because this weekend was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Mid-50s yesterday, Thomas, right?
Yep.
That was near a record, wasn't it?
Yeah, 55. I have to double check. I think the record was 57 or 58, so just shy of that. But still, it was very warm yesterday. But the key to today's forecast is how quickly will the fog burn off? The later in the day the fog lingers, well, the longer in the day that temperature inversion will linger. So we'll have to just see how quickly that will burn off. But if it's out of here by late morning, we should easily be on our way to 50 degrees yet again. If it stays all day, well, it was only 47 in Deer Park versus 55 in Spokane. That was yesterday's comparison. So we'll watch that closely today. We're at 38 right now in Spokane, but it's already in the 40s on the Palouse, where it's 42 in Pullman and 49 in Pomeroy, 45 in Lewiston. That is a very warm start to the day. So that is how we're kicking off this Monday, but notice that the fog is deep right now across eastern Washington and most of far north Idaho.
Happening right now is a special election. Voters in Spokane County should have their ballots in the mail by tonight. KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones is live in Spokane right now. So Brandon, many people received them over the weekend and late last week. So tell us, what are they voting on? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Tim. Well, the first things first is that voters need to know that the election is Tuesday, February 13th. So you just got to make sure you have those ballots in drop boxes like this one by that day. And then, of course, Spokane County Elections Office, they did say they mailed those ballots out last week between January 26th and January 24th to the 24th and 26th. And then as for what you can expect on those ballots, this is an election featuring predominantly school districts with a few other items depending on which district or region you live in throughout the county. For example, you may have seen some of those flyers and posters discussing the upcoming Spokane Public Schools bond. If approved by voters, a $200 million bond would replace two older schools in the district, that being Adams and Madison Elementary School. A couple other projects are also on that as well, but Medical Lake, Meade, Central Valley, Cheney, and several other school districts in the county have bonds and levies to be voted on during this special election. Two more quick notes. February 5th is the deadline to receive new registrations and voter updates online and by mail. Day of registration and voting in person ends at 8 p.m. on the 13th. So you can also go online and look at an example ballot on the Spokane County's elections office. But again, if you haven't received those ballots in your mailboxes yet, you should be receiving those by this week or even this evening. But for now, reporting live in downtown Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Tracking a developing situation this morning in the Middle East. A drone attack killed 3 American service members in Jordan yesterday. Dozens more were injured.
Naomi Ruckham has the latest on how this strike happened and reaction both in the U.S. and abroad.
In what some worry could be a tipping point to a full-scale international conflict, 3 American service members were killed in an attack at a military base in northeast Jordan. In a statement, President Biden blamed the attack on radical Iran-backed militant groups operating in Syria and Iraq. At a campaign event in South Carolina Sunday, the president honored those killed.
We lost 3 brave souls in an attack on one of our bases, and we shall respond.
More than 30 service members were also injured in the attack at an outpost known as Tower 22, which provides support to U.S. Special Forces operating inside Syria. GOP presidential hopeful Nikki Haley was swift to weigh in.
After 160 attacks on our men and women in the military, it is absolutely shameful.
And former President Donald Trump posted a statement saying this brazen attack on the United States is yet another horrific and tragic consequence of Joe Biden's weakness and surrender. Many analysts consider the attack a red line in the conflict between Israel and Hamas after prior hits from Houthi rebels on shipping vessels in the Red Sea.
Certainly, Americans are both feeling materially the effects of this conflict, as well as feeling emotionally the effects of this conflict.
President Biden has vowed a response to the attack at a time and in a manner of our choosing. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Now, the military has not identified the soldiers who were killed in the attack. The strike is believed to be the deadliest on U.S. service members since a suicide bombing killed 13 Americans as the U.S. was pulling out of Afghanistan in 2021.
Here at home, a local church supporting Israel was vandalized with graffiti. Last week, someone spray painted over the church's reader board. The graffiti targeted Zionism. That's the belief Israel has the right to exist as a Jewish homeland. KREM 2 spoke with City Councilman Jonathan Bingle, who says he's received messages about the vandalism.
For me, it's sort of disappointing that, on Monday, the resolution came forward sort of to, say that, both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, aren't acceptable here in the city of Spokane. And then, literally the next day we get that message written on that reader board.
KREM 2 reached out to the church and its pastor for comment, but have not heard back.
The Coeur d'Alene School District is now weighing several options in order to save an estimated $6 million. According to our news partners at the Coeur d'Alene Press, the district's Human Resources Director and Finance Director presented the board with a list of $9 million in budget cuts. These include implementing a 4-day school week, closing an elementary school, larger class sizes, and even staff cuts. The district says they're lacking the needed funding because of a drop in enrollment and unexpected expenses. They say they're developing a plan right now to manage the situation, though, over the next few months.
At 6:07, it's time for your morning rush. More news in less time. New from over the weekend, Spokane police arrested 28-year-old Hunter Woods for shooting someone in downtown Spokane on Friday. Police say the victim was shot in the middle of the road near the intersection of 2nd and Brown Street. The victim was taken to a hospital and is expected to be okay. Woods was booked into the Spokane County Jail on assault charges. In a matter of hours, the woman accused of killing 2 people in a hit and run is expected to be sentenced. Investigators say Megan Skillingstad hit and killed a couple while driving drunk on West Trails in Flint near Airway Heights. This isn't the first time Skillingstad has been involved in a crime like this. She was found guilty for another deadly hit and run back in 2013. The state of Montana announced its intent to file a lawsuit against the federal government over its listing of wolverines. A ruling from last November changed the status of wolverines from endangered to a threatened species. The state says by removing them from the endangered species list and stripping them of their protections, the 300 wolverines in the lower 48 states could disappear. Looking ahead, Idaho Governor Brad Little is sending state police down to Texas. Idaho will send 2 teams of Idaho State Police troopers to, quote, assist with securing our nation's borders. The troopers will also learn new tactics on policing, drug smuggling, and human trafficking. They will be deployed in the coming weeks. That is a look at your morning rush.
Time at 6:09, and it is still quite foggy through downtown Spokane. That's the I-90 corridor at Jefferson Street. Very much low visibility at the moment. It's going to stay that way for a handful of hours here. Fog is going to make a big difference in terms of the high temperature forecast today. This that you see behind me, that is yesterday's highs. And notice the areas that are a bit cooler than others. Sandpoint didn't even get to 40 degrees yesterday because the fog was just persistent in some of these northern areas. So Deer Park to Moses Lake, we're just stuck in that fog yesterday versus Spokane, which got out of it and into the mid-50s. So we'll see where that difference is going to lie for this afternoon. Do notice again that areas like Sandpoint, Colville, Omak, and Wenatchee might stay in the fog today. But where that fog breaks, we are back in the 50s this afternoon.